Hello again, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Talking Smack, talking superheroes, movies, animation, and comics. I'm your host, Josh Scar. With me again this week is Alex.
Hello, hello, hello.
We hope you missed us because we missed you last week. We had an impromptu holiday weekend. I wasn't feeling well, and it was also Thanksgiving weekend, so I was just like, we'll let the guys shop. And Mandy's not a guy, so...
Mandy and I did have a conversation. We were both very concerned with the lack of an episode, so it will never happen again.
Which is fine. I have a baby due in February, so someone's got to carry the mantle while I am not able to do that. And it's very possible that it could interfere with the Black Panther review episode, so I'm counting on you guys to carry the enthusiasm that we've had in our review episodes.
I've already cleared it with your wife, and the labor, if need be, will happen during the movie, so you can be there for it.
I have already told my wife, and I have whispered to the child in her belly that if she comes on February, I think it would actually be 14th, I think it's Valentine's Day or the day after, that would be the advanced screening, that she's dead to me.
Fair, no, that's good.
I will hold it against her the rest of her life. She wants to go to a good college. She's going to a mediocre college. She wants a nice car. She's getting a clunker. All the good stuff that the potential middle child gets.
Exactly. You gotta have your priorities straight. Gotta go see Black Panther, then worry about the child, and then it'll be old enough for you to see.
Luella was only maybe 4 weeks old when The Force Awakens came out, and we dropped her off with the in-laws and went and saw The Force Awakens.
I was really hoping and she was fine in the car until we got back.
Mid-December, newborn, she'll be fine.
We left the heat on. And on a Christmas station, and she was great.
That would explain so much. So in other news... not related to my family, and me being a terrible person and father and spouse, David S. Goyer is in talks to direct Sony's Masters of the Universe movie. So there's so much wrong with that statement. One, I'm really surprised that Sony owns the rights to Masters of the Universe since that's a DC property.
Yeah, that's pretty weird.
Two, David Goyer.
Well, and three, that they're again trying to bring back Masters of the Universe.
Three, Sony. Sony's making Masters of the Universe. That's not going to be good.
Not particularly.
No, like Sony is very missed lately, and getting David Goyer to come on and do this just is not getting on the right path. I think they should have found out that the right path is being a distributor and not a studio. Because they should have learned that lesson with Spider-Man Homecoming.
They just need to take the route for the Bond franchise route. We'll just consistently just distribute movies and pay heavy amounts of money for it and have no creative control.
Exactly.
And it worked for that. It works for James Bond. It worked for Spider-Man.
I mean, the only thing Sony did do poorly as far as what they had control of with Spider-Man Homecoming is they were in charge of the marketing, and they gave way too much away of that movie. They showed way too much.
Yeah, I think if you're a PlayStation... if you're a PlayStation Network member, you got to watch like the first 10 minutes, like 2 weeks early.
Which technically wasn't the actual first 10 minutes because they cut out the entire prologue of Michael Keaton and his company getting cut out. So there's give there, but yeah, they showed you the entire like Peter Parker video montage of all the stuff leading up from Civil War, which is fine. I mean, it didn't really do anything to the movie because we'd already seen a lot of that from the trailers.
Yeah, but then they had the second or third trailer was the whole...
Basically the entire third act.
Yeah, it had basically the entire sequence. Yeah, they included the airplane sequence, they included the boat sequence, and they included him being stripped of all of the Spider-Man outfit sequence. Yeah.
Yep, and they had the trope of a Spider-Man movie of him losing his mask, which, again, if he loses his mask in Infinity War, which we are talking about later... I swear I'm going to be pissed because that's like my least favorite Spider-Man trope. Beyond him crying, I also do not like him losing his mask in a fight. It doesn't need to happen every time.
What if he was to cry and use the mask to dab away the tears? Would that be okay?
That would be worse. The mask is not a hanky.
We're trying to reach a middle ground here.
That's not a middle ground. That's taking the line and making it more of a dot than a line. So David Goyer in talks to direct a Sony-produced Masters of the Universe movie.
Boo.
I don't think you can come up with a greater three strikes idea since Sony's Ghostbusters movie, which, again, the women cast is not the problem with that movie.
No.
It's Sony, it's rebooting the franchise, and it's making a bad movie.
Yeah.
We have a really bad Venom movie coming out, presumed really bad Venom movie.
I can't believe that's filming.
They also announced that they're doing a Morbius the Living Vampire spin-off movie, another Spider-Man villain-ish kind of person who is getting his own movie.
And that's in addition to, what is it?
To the Silver Sable and Black Cat movie.
Yeah, what are they calling it? Like Black
Silver and Black.
Yeah, I thought it was like Black and Sable or something weird like that.
I think it's just Silver and Black.
Yeah, okay.
And then, we've got this, again, a presumed really bad Venom movie that is coming out in less than a year, and they just started filming about 3 weeks ago.
Have you seen the set photos from that?
I've seen one.
It's the Tom Hardy all tattooed up with like next to a burning car one.
Yeah. No, thank you. Again, assumed bad. Other news, we have Liu Yifei. I'm not entirely sure how you pronounce her. It's actually her first name because in Chinese culture, the last name comes first, and then the name they go by comes second.
Right.
So the name that is listed is Liu Yifei, so she would actually go by Yifei. But she's also known in the States as Crystal Liu, has been cast as Mulan. And I think she's some kind of TV star in China. I think it's great casting because they're going with a literal native of China, not just someone with Chinese heritage. And I think that's really cool. My biggest fear is that as much as I enjoyed like Beauty and the Beast, I think visually Maleficent was very pretty. Story-wise, it was very bad. Acting, it was very bad. Outside of the well scene. Cinderella, I think, was visually really good, but it was kind of blah. I wasn't overly impressed with Jungle Book. Again, technically it was amazing, but again, it was Jungle Book. All of these live-action Disney movies are very pretty, but they feel like they don't have a soul to me. Like they just seem like everyone's there to get a paycheck and read some lines and be in a Disney movie.
The casting, I think, is good casting. When they announced it, I think I may have seen The Forbidden Kingdom, but I couldn't pick her out because I don't think she was actually a leading role in that movie. I don't watch Once Upon a Time, and apparently she's had a role or two with that Mulan on it.
So she'll have 2 Mulan credits to her name.
At least that's what some commentator said, that, oh yeah, she was like one of the people who was with in Mulan's entourage or something like that. It seems fine. My main concern is that they're just filming it to film it, and I hope that is not the case. The original director of the movie, I'm not sure is still directing it, had said, oh yeah, we're not doing any songs, we're doing a very kind of hard...
Yeah, she kind of backtracked after the success of Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah, she said...
Mulan isn't necessarily a musical. Like, it has some fun moments, but I don't really associate it as a musical like I would Aladdin or Beauty and the Beast. Yeah,
the only thing I can think of is that Disney sent an editor's note and said, like, pages 45 through 50, make a man out of you here. And so that's kind of my fear, is that it's going to be kind of this hard, sturdy war kind of movie about her story, her journey, and then out of nowhere, he's just going to she's going to be in camp, and someone's going to be like, "We're going to make a man out of you." It's like,
well, you got to build up with the drums.
Oh, well, yeah. I'm like, that's just my main concern there.
Where you get the random music sequences from the Jungle Book, like the bare necessities kind of happen naturally. Yeah, but the Christopher Walken, I want to be like you, like, hey, guy, I want to be like you.
That was so cool, but so weird.
Yeah, it works because it's Christopher Walken, yes. But at the same time, it didn't work within the context of the movie.
No, and King Louis being like 40 feet tall was just kind of threw me off. I was like, is there kind of like some kind of weird dynamic going? And then I realized, no, he's like that massive, and that was just weird.
It was like an anti-Snoke.
Yeah.
where we're like, holy crap, Snoke is huge. Oh, it's just a hologram. Like, oh, King Louis is getting some really weird camera tricks. Oh my God, he's actually that big.
Exactly. I mean, but you're right. It worked. Those two musicals and those two musical sequences in Jungle Book worked because Bill Murray can break into song any point in his life, and everybody's just going to go, works. And then Christopher Walken is Christopher Walken. It's going to work because you expect him to do something weird.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. That's just so back to Mulan. I honestly can't remember any songs other than "Make a Man Out of You." I know there's
the reflection song at when she fails her bride test or something, where she's the matchmaker test.
Wait, isn't there something about crickets? No.
There's also a man worth fighting for.
The matchmaking one.
Where at the very beginning.
Yeah, where they're all painting her up and dolling her up.
Yep.
Yeah, there's that.
Which again is in a Mulan story, or at least in a Mulan movie, I think the only two essential songs. I think there's only really 4 songs in the entire movie anyway. Mm-hmm. You have the matchmaker song, and then you have the reflection song, and then there's "I'll Make a Man Out of You," and then there's "A Girl Worth Fighting For." And then everything else is kind of like rehashing one of those other beats.
That sounds right.
So, I mean, you could literally get away with a Mulan movie if you wanted to do those musical parts. You could do... I think reflection is a very important part of the Mulan character because it shows her inner turmoil of... She's a tomboy, but a girly girl. Then you have the "I'll Make a Man Out of You," which again is kind of showing her becoming the warrior that the army needs her to be and that she needs to become to be able to pass off on this ruse that she's playing.
If they can figure out how to work one or two of them in a decent way, that'd be fine. The only other odd thing about her casting, somebody pointed out, was that this officially makes her the oldest Disney princess, live action princess, because I think the actress is 31 or 32, which I would not have pegged that. She looks like she's maybe 18 or 19. Yeah. Which doesn't bother me. I'm not really concerned about anyone's age. You know, I mean, if they actually do play up the fact that she's in her mid 30s as a kind of like a
plot point,
a spinster in that day and age. Okay, sure, because she was staying home taking care of dad. Because that's like one knock. I was like, I saw some woman go, I can't relate to her. She's 30, and
you're not supposed to relate to the actress. You're supposed to relate to the character she's portraying.
I'm like, I doubt she's actually going to walk out and they're going to put silver streaks in her hair and be like, yes, I'm 30 in the 14th century. Therefore, I'm 73. But no, I think that's just cool.
Yeah, I hope it's good, and I hope it has a little bit more soul because, again, I enjoyed Beauty and the Beast. It was very pretty. I enjoyed the hell out of the remakes or the reinterpretations of the songs, and I think that what's the new song that Dan Stevens sings?
Yeah, my wife has sung it a few times. She really liked it. I can't think of the name of it though.
Yeah,
they got the composer back, which is really nice. That he was able to weave some stuff in that he'd wanted to, but also to bring some life into it. And I also did like that they brought a little bit of the Broadway tunes into it.
Yeah, Evermore is the name of the song. What it is. Okay. And then they also brought back Celine Dion to write a new song for the credits, which they actually ended up working into the actual movie, the How Does a Moment Last Forever, which is a gorgeous song. I'll hand in my man card if I have to. I think Celine Dion is a great performer. I think she's a great artist. The song she wrote was actually kind of a love letter to her dead husband.
Oh, yeah.
And, that tugs at the heartstrings already. I think Kevin Kline does a great performance of the song as well within the movie. It's really brief, but it comes back later in the movie. And I think both of those songs should be nominated for an Oscar. I know the honest trailer shitheads, I'm not even going to call them people. They bashed the Evermore song because they called it an Oscar bait song. It's a great song. I don't care if it's an Oscar bait song. It's a good song.
Half the songs that they write for movies are Oscar bait. They're just sitting there going, come on, we need something so we can slap on the cover. Oscar-winning movie.
We all can't be Suicide Squad and get best makeup and call us an Oscar-winning movie.
I'm still mad about that. There's no way that Star Trek Beyond should have lost to that.
Yeah. Well, that was such a weird category where it was Star Trek Beyond versus Suicide Squad versus A Man Called Ovi.
Yeah,
which was just a guy in old man makeup. Like, really, those are the 3 best makeup movies that you can come up with.
You don't think that Gary Oldman's not going to get the person who made Gary Oldman look like, what is it?
Winston Churchill.
Thank you, Churchill. I keep thinking LBJ, but I know there's an LBJ movie out right now. I'm like, that's not Gary Oldman. don't think they're not going to nominate him for that.
Oh, yeah.
That guy.
And Gary Oldman's probably going to get his Oscar nomination again.
About time. He's only been nominated like twice.
Using Suicide Squad as a transition tool to another Warner Brothers property, we have seen our first look at Brenton Thwaites, which my notes actually auto-corrected to Thwaitles.
Makes sense.
Yeah. We don't recognize this, so we're just going to add and random L. Thanks, Siri. Brenton Thwaites, we got our first look of him as Robin for the Titans made-for-TV show, I guess we should say, because it's not technically a television series.
Start clarifying.
Yeah,
it's Teen
it's
Titans,
streaming.
but it's not the cartoon, and it's not Teen Titans Go, but it's not Teen Titans the film.
No, it's just Titans.
Titans.
Yeah. I think the look is really solid. It's a great picture. It's obviously very Photoshopped to make it look very good. But there's a few notes that I have. Is one, he's got a little bit of a Tim Drake look to him. He's got Tim Drake's staff, and he also has the Tim Drake R on his chest or on his left pectoral.
Okay.
The way you're supposed to be able to tell the Robins apart is they have a slightly different R.
Oh, okay.
So, like, Dick Grayson's R is the very clean-cut one where it's just it looks like it's just coming off of a grade school letterboard.
Right.
And then,
like the letter stamp kind of.
yeah, then Tim Drake's is a little more, like, angular and it's sharp. I forget what Jason Todd's looks like, and then I think Damian Wayne's R was kind of an amalgamation of the two, where it's got the straight line at the base of the R, and then you've got the angular R swoops. I think they've already said that the first episode is supposed to lead into Dick Grayson becoming Nightwing. So the fact that they revealed him as Robin, I think, is supposed to be kind of a misdirect, because I think by the end of the episode he will become Nightwing.
Oh, okay.
Either something's going to happen with him and Batman. He's like, I'm no longer the Boy Wonder. I'm now Dick Grayson Nightwing. Or something's going to happen within the context of the show, and he's going to be like, I can't just be Robin anymore. I have to be something more.
I admit I am not versed on my Robins. I just saw the picture and went, well, he looks the part, you know. I like that they kept the little domino mask thing going. The armor looks like it could be good. Of course, it looks like it was shot in the middle of an alley dark at night while he was like walking by. But you know, that's just, you know, they don't want to give everything away.
Yeah, I need to see the suit in action. Need to see how the cape flows. Need to see how long the cape is. I was watching a making of Justice League documentary, and for the brief moments they have Henry Cavill in the cape is like floor length. But if you look at any really good Superman interpretation, the cape is usually about thigh high. Yeah, like it's more decorative. It's not regal. It's not royal or anything like that. But for whatever reason, they've decided to make this like a floor length, like almost wedding dress style cape where it's like dragging on the floor almost. I don't know. I was thinking about it because I was watching Superman the Animated Series recently also, and they actually have it like right around his lower back. Yeah. So it looks a little weird in the context of like, wow, this is a big man wearing basically a shawl. Yeah. But the Robin looks good, and I don't think he's going to be in it all that long. No. But it's just going to be, this is what he's going to look like in the pilot, and then all of a sudden he's going to be Nightwing somewhere within the context of the show.
But now that you bring up the cape thing, I just realized that like in the Batman movies, they make Batman's cape basically go to his ankles. Yeah, like because they do a very dramatic. He lands and like he always lands basically superhero style, and then like pulls up from the cape. But then on the TV series, it's calf high. It's scalloped. It has that scalloped edges.
Yeah, it's got
but it's always right around his calf. Yeah. Interesting.
I guess it just looks more dramatic that way in the movies. I don't know. Or in the context of the animated series, they can make it as long as they want because continuity of the cape doesn't really matter. No. Sticking with DC news, Mark Strong, formerly known as Sinestro in DC Universe continuity, has been named as the Shazam movie villain, Dr. Thaddeus Sivana. I honestly know absolutely nothing about Dr. Thaddeus Sivana except for the fact that he is the B villain of Shazam compared to what the heck's The Rock's name? Black Adam. Yep. That's not The Rock's actual name, obviously. The Rock's character name. Black Adam is the A-list villain for Shazam, and then you've got Dr. Sivana. And I honestly forgot to look up anything about Dr. Sivana, so that's all I really have to say about that. I think the casting of Mark Strong is pretty good. the Shazam movie has solid casting at this point. I mean, I'm all in just because Zachary Levi. I like Mark Strong as an actor. I enjoy him in the Kingsman movies. I still haven't seen Kingsman 2. At this point, I have to wait for the Blu-ray to come out. But I enjoyed him. I thought he was one of the better parts of the Green Lantern movie as well. He was a really good Sinestro.
Yeah. The only thing that bothers me about his casting is it's a little on the nose. Mark Strong, poor guy. I really like him in the Kingsman movies because he's a good guy. I mean, they don't even try, like in the second one after, I mean, you've seen the trailers, the Kingsman house gets blown up and he's alive. They don't even try for like 20 seconds to be like, he betrayed them. You know, it was just more like, you're alive? Yeah, I was at home. Oh, okay. You know, there's nothing like that. I like Mark Strong when he's able to play a good guy. Once a decade they let him. But you know, it's a little on the nose casting because he's such a good villain. But all right.
What was that medieval movie that he was in? Was it King Arthur or the king? I forget what movie it was. He was a bad guy. Maybe it wasn't Kingdom of Heaven. Was it Kingdom of Heaven? He played a bad guy in some medieval swords and armor.
It was there was Robin Hood.
That's what it was. It was the Russell Crowe.
Russell Crowe version.
The Russell Crowe. That's what I'm
Godfrey,
thinking of. Yeah, he was the sheriff of Rottingham, wasn't he, or Nottingham?
Godfrey is what he's listed as.
Oh,
it might have been. They changed some of the things around for that one.
Yeah, I didn't care for that movie too much. That was really weird.
That's the one where Cate Blanchett randomly falls in water for a while, right?
Yeah, Cate Blanchett is Marion, who is betrothed to Robin of Locksley. But Robin of Locksley is an asshat who dies during the Crusades.
Right.
And Russell Crowe steals his identity because Marion's dad needs him to marry his daughter because she's an old shrew. Something like that. That's what I remember. My dad loves that movie, but I was like, this is bad.
I just swear...
That's another...
I swear I just remember... I may be getting my movies mixed up, but I swear I remember her putting on armor at one point and, like, supposed to be a badass. And then, like, the horse falls in water and she's, like, struggling and has to get saved.
I think that's right.
Okay.
I don't recall. I know it's on, like, AMC all the time because it's a really cheap movie that they can throw on there.
Yeah.
But, it's no good. But, yeah, that's what I was thinking of with Mark Strong. I think he's a really good actor. I think he falls into the villain role too easily, and he's very typecast within the villain role.
Yeah, which is why I really like him in the Kingsman movies because you expect him to be sinister, but he just seems to be having a good time, and he's a good guy. So.
Yeah, I think that was kind of the point of his casting because no one knew anything about the Kingsman movie coming out. It just looked like it was going to be fun, and he saw Michael Caine in there. She's like, oh, well, he's Michael Caine, so he's going to be the good guy. And then Mark Strong's in there. Mark Strong's going to be the bad guy. He's going to betray them somewhere. Oh, he's the weapons expert. Yeah, he's definitely going to betray them.
Oh, yeah.
And then you find out, oh, it's Michael Caine. Oh, my God.
Exactly.
Moving on, because, we have nothing to say about the character within the DC Comics.
Mark Strong, do well.
Mark Strong, yes. Solid casting for the Shazam movie so far. Probably the second most anticipated DC movie after Aquaman. Keep going in this direction, DC, as long as you're making good movies. So next thing we have is that Colin Trevorrow and Chris Pratt shared an image or like a GIF or something of Chris Pratt petting a baby raptor on the set of Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom. Chris Pratt has thrown some speculation out there that it may actually be an animatronic, but it looks pretty bad, so it's probably CGI. But it seems like they're trying really hard to get rid of the bad taste that some people had in their mouths from the lack of animatronic animals in Jurassic World.
Yeah, I saw the image and I was trying to figure out what the point of it was. Okay.
There's going to be baby raptors, duh.
Yay! And then I was trying to figure out, okay, how old is that raptor supposed to be? And is that animatronic? Is that not animatronic?
He pets it on the chin.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really move. You just see his finger kind of wiggle underneath it.
Yeah. It's really sad we have to go back to 1994, which is now 23 years ago.
93.
Is it 93? Okay.
I'm pretty sure it's 93.
93. 24 years ago, where there's a scene with no CGI where there's little eggs and the raptors birth themselves and they pick them up and they kind of make sounds and wiggle their arms and their little tails wiggle and the little hand thingy comes over and takes the egg away from Dr. Grant. And it's like, and they're all gooey raptor babies from the eggs. It's like, oh, look how cute and kind of creepy. And he's like, raptors? You bred raptors on this island? That's like a good 4-minute scene.
And it's fantastic.
With animatronics. And I'm watching this 6-second GIF, and I'm like, and I'm sitting there going, that doesn't look quite right.
Well, there's speculation, too, on the internet that the baby raptor is blue. But it's like, why would they be doing a flashback? Among other things, flashbacks are not privy to the Jurassic Park universe
Not that
as far as their movies go.
No. So
They reminisce, but you don't see flashbacks. Like people talking about flashbacks that we'll see in The Last Jedi. Star Wars doesn't do flashbacks. Like they do force visions,
yeah.
which could fill in some backstory, like we had a little bit in The Force Awakens when Rey touches the lightsaber,
Which was cool.
but again, that wasn't necessarily a flashback because Rey was experiencing that.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think it's a flashback. I don't think maybe they cloned Blue, or maybe they've got a new Blue or something. I don't know, but
It was. I spent more time trying to figure out if it was animatronic or not than, because it's only like, 7 seconds, 6 seconds. I spent more time trying to figure out, is that animatronic or is that CGI? It's a little shifty looking to be actually excited about it. I mean, yeah, I get to see Chris Pratt petting something. That's always a good time.
Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom is not really on my radar. I'll go see it for the podcast. I'll see it to just know what it is. But I really, it's not on my radar. I really don't care much to see it. Like, the most important thing about that movie is that when Josh Gad was filming Murder on the Orient Express with Daisy Ridley, he had these funny videos where he would kind of not necessarily harass her, but he would like prod her and ask her questions about Star Wars. And there was one where he actually brought in like a bunch of now A-list actors, and he's like, I'm not going to ask you any questions, but they do. And Chris Pratt and J.J. Abrams and a couple of other people were there, and Chris Pratt was just like, I'll tell you when Jurassic World 2 comes out. I'm in Guardians of the Galaxy. He wasn't like asking her questions. He's like trying to bribe her, like, I'll give you this information. Yeah. And Josh Gad was even like, I'll tell you when Frozen 2 comes out, which basically confirmed that Frozen 2 was happening, but everyone already knew that was happening.
Actually, random thing since you brought up Daisy Ridley. You saw that.
We don't do random things.
You saw that interview where she said that she's done playing Rey after Episode 9, right?
Yeah, her contract is up with Episode 9.
Yeah, but she says she like basically suggested she had no interest in continuing it beyond that. That's a Jennifer Lawrence move, right? I mean, the whole like, I'm done playing Mystique, I can't stand this anymore.
Until they pay me a shit ton of money.
Yeah, okay, yeah, all right, thought so.
I think it's either going to be a payday or it's going to be, if they do it right and they bring back Rey, I think they can't bring back Rey for at least 10 to 15 years, if not longer.
Yeah. Okay.
So and it also depends on what they want to do, because the saga movies are still supposed to be about the Skywalker legacy.
Right.
I mean, they've even said that this new trilogy is about the Skywalker legacy, so they have to connect it somehow. And if Kylo Ren doesn't make it through, obviously Leia is not going to make it through, unfortunately. Oh. I'm getting more sad as we approach this, because I'm realizing that I'm not going to see Carrie Fisher in another movie past this one.
And then I'm looking at this movie. It's 2 weeks away, and I'm going to be like, all right, they're going to probably acknowledge her death in some manner in this movie.
They've said they haven't changed anything. Okay, so the only thing they'll do is probably a for Carrie in the credits.
All right, and they had said Episode 9 was supposed to be about her, so I'm assuming the Episode 9 title crawl has something about Princess Leia's gone. But I'm just sitting there going, all right, Harrison Ford's dead. We know Carrie Fisher ain't in 9. Mark Hamill, you have to make it past this movie.
Yeah.
Come on, Mark.
I mean, they may not have changed Leia's story within the movie, but they might have changed Luke's.
Yeah, come on, Mark. Get past this, and please record an outtake in Luke Skywalker outfit, saying your line from Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. That's all I want. That's all I want.
Poor transition time.
Incredibles 2.
We did get the Incredibles 2. We did get the Incredibles 2 teaser trailer, which I can't wait for this movie. My lack of enthusiasm for Jurassic World 2 is counterintuitive to my just sheer fanboyishness towards finally getting Incredibles 2. And we still don't know exactly what the story is. They're saying that the movie picks up immediately with the Underminer fight, or like immediately after that. Mm-hmm. I still think that there's going to be a time jump somewhere, because saying that it picks up at that point could easily just be reestablishing the universe. Like, oh, everyone's glad that the supers are back.
Yep.
15 years later, you know, they can do whatever. The internet is really... We're going to get into this when we talk about the Infinity War trailer a little bit too, but the internet is really like needing Jack Jack to go evil for some reason.
What?
Yeah, like the internet really just wants Jack Jack to get kidnapped and like used against his family somehow. And it's really bumming me out.
What the hell's wrong with people?
So many things.
No, the trailer, the little teaser did exactly what I wanted it to do. It, you know, Craig T. Nelson's back. Yay. Jack Jack has a bunch of random powers. That was hysterical. Because, I mean, that I love the reason why Jack Jack would have random powers, because babies are just, they're not formed. They can become whatever they want to be, however the parents raise them. And it was just a cute little thing, you know, so I'm excited about that. I didn't read any of the comment boards or anything because I didn't feel the need to, because I just assumed it would all be like, yay, we're going to get a movie soon, June 8th.
Yeah, the idea is that Jack Jack is going to get kidnapped or somehow like brainwashed because he's essentially the most powerful being in the planet because he has all the powers. Yeah, they just like they're talking about how if Jack Jack goes bad, the Incredibles aren't going to have the opportunity to kill him because he's got all the powers, and if he's evil, blah 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 blah. Why does Jack Jack have to be evil? He's a baby. Like babies are inherently neutral. All they want is what's best for them.
No, just make another great Fantastic Four movie. That's all you need.
Exactly.
And have Frozone actually do some stuff this time.
All I need is where's my super suit, woman?
Of course, we need that line again, but no. I liked the first one. It was a great superhero movie. It was a great family dynamic movie. It had some unexpected emotional moments. It brought the family together. It was fantastic. So just pick up either with the Underminer fight and continue on, or do a time jump. I don't care. I'm just happy we're getting The Incredibles.
Yeah.
And thus far, Pixar has not failed us with having sequels that elevate the franchise. I am ignoring Cars 2 because that does not exist.
Cars 2 is what funds Pixar's good stuff.
Exactly.
They're just like, oh shit, the bank fund's getting low. We better make a Cars movie. Get all that merchandising.
Oh yeah, I was eating a bowl of cereal this afternoon after mulching. And I was vegging out on the couch, and there was a Cars 3 Christmas toy set. For one brief moment, I went, "Oh yeah, I gotta remember to see that when it comes out." And then I realized it's been like 6 months.
Yeah, it's out on Blu-ray now.
I didn't know, but obviously it looks successful enough that Disney's like, "Yeah, we got that Cars Christmas money coming in,
Christmas bonus." Woo! I am super excited for Incredibles 2. The teaser trailer obviously didn't do much other than tell us that maybe the story is really going to focus around Jack Jack. I like the idea because as far as we have seen in the original movie, the family doesn't actually know that he has powers, because there's the moment where he first bursts onto the scene with the powers. He's being pulled up to Syndrome's plane, and he starts freaking out, doing all the things.
Oh, the anvil, the baby fire demon thing.
Yeah, and everyone on the ground, Mrs. Incredible, Mr. Incredible, Dash, and Violet are like, what's going on? What's happening? We can't see anything. So Jack Jack then gets dropped after Syndrome gets sucked into the plane, and Mrs. Incredible's parachuting him down. Then the Underminer thing happens, so we don't know what happens in between that point. So as far as we're aware, they don't know that Jack Jack has powers.
Exactly.
Only Kari does, and she got mind wiped.
They need to bring Kari back.
They really do.
Because that Jack Jack's attack
and she's been mind wiped, so she wouldn't remember any of this.
Exactly. And that Jack Jack attack short they did with her is absolutely one of my favorite DVD extras ever.
Yes. I'm Kari. I'm the babysitter. Just the sheer crazy that is coming out of her face in that moment. And then you have the great line of she's talking to Syndrome, and she's like, "Why do you have a giant S on your shirt?" He's like, "Well, it stands for sitter." And I was gonna have it have babysitter, but then I'd have a giant BS on my shirt, and that just wouldn't work. And I'm like, that only works in the extras because you can't put that in this kind of movie.
No. And Jason Lee, of course, sells it.
Yep. I really, as much as it would suck to just rehash Syndrome, I wish Syndrome would be able to come back.
He's a good villain.
He was a really good villain.
Well, the thing is, he was developed without needing development. You saw him the 2 minutes at the beginning, and then you figure out who he is, and it's like, yeah, this makes complete sense. Complete sense. This is
super
a guy,
fanboy who was rejected by his idol becomes bad guy. Okay, yeah, and he knows everything about him because he was a fanboy.
Yeah, and then he takes the time. There's that, of course, that horrible sequence where all the supers are getting killed off as he makes the Omnibot better and better and better, and it makes complete sense. He wants to be accepted, and if he can't be accepted, then he will make himself accepted. And it's just a great villain. And it's not one that is lacking motivation. It's not one that's scary just to be scary. It's just one that's like, I can accept this, and I can accept your motivations, and you kind of agree with him a little bit because it's like
he wants to give everyone superpowers because then everyone's on an even playing field.
Yeah,
but obviously he's like, I keep the best stuff for myself.
Of course, yeah, I'll help everybody out. Yeah.
So, Incredibles 2, super excited. Doge. Next up, staying in the Disney family. Jude Law has been cast as Mar-Vell in Captain Marvel, which I think is very solid casting. Somehow Jude Law is making another resurgence. He's Dumbledore, and now he's Mar-Vell. There's thoughts that he might actually only be playing Mar-Vell's human counterpart, and maybe he doesn't even do the alien thing. But I don't think you cast someone like Jude Law in a role that's not going to be fairly significant. So in the Captain Marvel lore, Mar-Vell is the original Captain Marvel.
Right.
And in Carol Danvers' first adventure, she and Mar-Vell go to find that there's this giant alien bomb set to detonate, and it's going to wipe out all of humanity. And so Mar-Vell takes the alien bomb and he dismantles it to a certain point, and he realizes that he's not going to stop it in time, so he just runs to Carol and just covers her up. And the radiation from the explosion that does happen imbues Carol with his Kree DNA. So she's a hybrid human and Kree, which is why she's super strong. She can fly. She doesn't get the shape-shifting that I believe the Kree have, or at least the minimal shape-shifting that they have, or a few other abilities, but she gets the ability to absorb energy and re-shift it out as a photon blast. Again, she flies. She's super strong. In the comics, she is near Hulk level strength.
Okay. That's
a
little absurd, but sure. Just a little overpowered there, but okay.
Whatever. She's Marvel's Wonder Woman, so Wonder Woman is supposed to be able to go almost toe to toe with Superman.
Actually, I heard that's one of the best sequences of that movie. I still need to see it. Everyone tries to take on Superman, and
they have a headbutt battle
and fail horribly.
Yeah, basically she throws a headbutt at him, and Superman's just kind of like, really? And he headbutts her, and she just goes face plant into the sidewalk. Which again is a great moment, but at the same time you're like, damn. In this world of feminism, is that okay?
Well, I also heard that he punches the Flash out of his Speed Force. Is that right?
No. What happens is the Flash takes off into the Speed Force, and Superman is able to follow him. Oh. And the look on the Flash's face is like, holy shit. That's my favorite part of the entire movie is that sequence, because the Flash is obviously so fast that no one can see him. And he realizes oh my god, Superman is watching me. And I'm moving super fast, and they have a super fast fight, which is really cool. It's the only time in the movie that the Zack Snyder slow motion really works.
Well, yeah, because you need everyone to be frozen while they're moving around.
Yeah, and Superman is just a hair slower than the Flash. So the Flash is able to slightly dodge and just miss. And it's a really cool sequence that is only ruined by Henry Cavill's Uncanny Valley face.
Oh, okay. So
I apologize for all my coughing in this episode. It's really dry in my house, and I have enough water here, but I probably should have gum or something. But my mics are super sensitive. Yeah. So if I was chewing gum, you just hear, and that right there is probably just going to make people stop listening to this podcast in general. So
all right, back to Mar-Vell and Marvel. I don't know anything about Captain Marvel really, other than I've seen some of her statues on Sideshow Toy, and they're really pretty. And I've debated buying one or two just because some of them look really iconic. But so she's their version of Wonder Woman, basically.
She's their Wonder Woman or Supergirl, depending on how you want to go with it. But yeah, she's their overpowered, but she also still has plenty of weaknesses, and she's an amazing character when done right. Kelly Sue DeConnick had a great run with her, and that's largely what they're basing. We'll just let you pour.
I'm good.
Alex is pouring his water.
Under the table, but still, I tipped it wrong.
Yeah. So Kelly Sue DeConnick had a really great run with the character where they really embraced like her nerdy side. She's talking about how her love of Star Wars and all these other things. The first run, the background of my computer is the final panel of her first issue on Captain Marvel. That first issue is amazing. I don't really care for the art, but that last panel is amazing, and the writing is phenomenal. And so if they're taking at least cues from that run, I'm 100% on board with this character in general anyway. I think Jude Law could be a really good Marvel. I don't know if they're going to call him Captain Marvel within the movie, because I think that's just supposed to be Carol's mantle within the context of this new universe. But I think she's going to take on the name Captain Marvel because of Marvel, or Marvel, depending on who you talk to. I know in Avengers, Earth's Mightiest Heroes, they called him Marvel.
So is he like a mentor to her, or is it kind of like a Green Lantern situation where he ends up dying and she's now Marvel?
In the context of the comics, it's more of a mentor sort of thing, where he kind of inspires her to become more. Okay. She's already an accomplished Air Force pilot. She's top in her class. She's from Boston, so she's like a Red Sox fan, so she's like a nice foil. She blends really well with Spider-Man too.
And I believe, this one is coming out...
March 2019.
So this is between the two Infinity Wars ones. We'll get her story.
Yes, which is something we'll talk about when we're talking about the Infinity War trailers, because there's a couple of movies coming out in between where Captain Marvel is going to take place in the 90s, so it really has no direct impact that we're aware of right now on Infinity War and Avengers 4.
Okay.
But there's also Ant-Man and the Wasp, which is coming out that July.
Yep.
And we know Ant-Man and the Wasp will be in at least Avengers 4, but Paul Rudd is listed in the cast list for Avengers Infinity War. So we don't know exactly what's going to happen. We don't know if he's just going to show up as like a cameo, sort of like what happened with Stan Lee in like X-Men 3, where, oh my gosh, my water is floating out of my hose. Because technically Scott Lang is on the run now because of what happened in Civil War.
Right.
Which I thought was really weird character motivations, because the whole point of Ant-Man is that he's trying to be better and be able to be around for his daughter. But now he's a war criminal because he helped Captain America, and now they would just be staking out his daughter's house.
That doesn't bother me a lot, because I don't think he was aware of the repercussions. It did kind of seem like Hawkeye kind of pseudo-kidnapped him, because he opens up the thing, and he opens up the panel door, and he wakes up what time zone is this? And then he's like, oh my god, it's Captain America.
Thanks for thinking of me.
Yeah, thank you. And then
thanks for thanking of me. That's what it is.
Falcon, and then he sees Falcon. He's like, hey, it's nice to see you again.
Yeah.
And he just seemed more like, oh, I'm here, and this is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think he was given a briefing on what it was, and I don't think it's within Captain America's character to... Well, Captain America even tells him, if you do this, you're a man against the law. And he's like, meh, whatever.
Yeah, that is a little against his, yeah.
Because, again, if he's concerned about Cassie and he wants to see Cassie, siding with people who are now wanted by every country in the world, not really gonna be very conducive to being an absentee father.
Yeah, we'll see how they address that. Oh, because he did end up in prison. See, but when he was in prison, he seemed really mad.
Jude Law casting as Captain Marvel, or not Captain Marvel, but as Marvel. Very cool. So
yeah, hopefully they do a little something with him, with his character.
I'm sure he'll cree up and he'll do something. And obviously, if he is Marvel, he's going to be the plot device that gets Carol her powers. So we'll see what happens. I think they'll kill him off just because Jude Law does enjoy those roles where he gets killed off.
Yeah.
We have a little over a year to wait, because that's probably my most anticipated movie of 2019, is because I want to see that movie. I want to see what Marvel does in a 90s setting. Sam Jackson, I don't think he's actually signed on for the role yet, but they have said they've agreed that he will be in the movie.
Right.
He's going to have both eyes. I think he's going to end up being the Kree, or the Skrull in the movie.
Oh, okay.
Because you have the Kree and the Skrull. So you have the Kree Skrull war coming to Earth, and Captain Marvel is going to kind of be what kicks them out. We'll see what happens, but I think Sam Jackson's going to end up being the Skrull within the organization, which means we're also getting the return of S.H.I.E.L.D. within the MCU.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they'll have some nods to some people being Hydra. But yeah, Captain Marvel is very easily my most anticipated superhero movie of 2019, even more so than Avengers 4. But that may change after Infinity War.
Yep.
And then before we start talking Infinity War, there was a big 10-year like retrospective sort of thing that Vanity Fair put out with some pretty awesome covers. I didn't get a chance to read any of the actual article or the piece that was written about it, but it's supposed to be a kind of a retrospective building on the 10 years of the Marvel Cinematic Universe and what's coming up in the future, which the future is actually really vague because all we know is that we have Black Panther, Infinity War, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Captain Marvel, Avengers 4, Spider-Man Homecoming 2, which again is not going to be called Homecoming 2. It's just a way to differentiate it between the other Spider-Man 2s. So that's all we know as far as that goes. And Spider-Man Homecoming 2 is supposed to be the launching point for Phase 4, which means Avengers 4 is the closeout of Phase 3. My wife and I were actually just talking about this. Phase 3 is actually going to end up being 10 movies, apparently. Because you have Civil War, which was the Phase 3 launching point. Then you had what came out 2016, Doctor Strange, and then Guardians 2, Thor Ragnarok, Black Panther,
Spider-Man
Homecoming. Then you've got
Ant-Man and the Wasp,
Infinity War, Avengers 4, and Captain Marvel, which makes 10.
Yep. I think part of that is that there was some unexpectedness thrown into their...
Yeah, with Spider-Man coming in there, and then the success with Ant-Man, because we were actually already supposed to be having seen Black Panther.
Right.
Black Panther was originally slated for November, and Thor was supposed to be out in July, but then because of Spider-Man getting acquired, they immediately slated Spider-Man for July, and then just bumped everything back 6 months.
And then they had to throw in Ant-Man and the Wasp somewhere in there, which bumped Marvel back, because Marvel was supposed to be...
Captain Marvel was supposed to be that July when Ant-Man and the Wasp comes out.
But thankfully they liked their production team, and the movie did well enough that Captain Marvel gets the attention she needs. So there's 2, maybe 3 movies they weren't quite expecting to be in there.
Yeah, but that speaks to how the machine that Marvel has created, where they can just be like, oh, well, we'll make this movie in 2 years and move on our way, unlike a certain Sony company, where they are just like, we need to make movies with these characters, otherwise we're losing the rights, so let's make a movie within a year.
I was just taking a look at those Vanity Fair covers, because I'd seen them, but I didn't realize they were from the Vanity Fair thing. They're quite lovely.
Yeah, my favorite one is the one with Anthony Mackie and his Falcon armor, because he has the little prop wings. And if you watch the Winter Soldier extra behind the scenes footage stuff, he talks about how ridiculous he felt with these tiny little like barely arm length wings on for the VFX people to kind of reference. He's talking about how it's just kind of ridiculous to have these tiny little fairy wings sort of things on, and then he like sees the movie and he's like, oh my god, those things are gigantic, why couldn't I get those? So I enjoyed the fact that he had the tiny wings, just because again it made me think of that, and it's kind of funny, at least in my little world.
I'm looking at him. I think the one I'm really digging is the Hulk, Scarlet Witch, Black Panther, Ant-Man one. Just I like that they, the Hulk, they dyed his hands kind of like green, and it was blending. But then every time I see Paul Rudd as Ant-Man, I just get a little happy, because it's just like, I'm happy he's in there. I'm happy he had that co-writing credit on Ant-Man. I'm happy it was so good. And
he's really enjoyable in Civil War. Like I honestly, during that big fight scene, I think I liked him more than anyone else in that fight scene, even more than Spider-Man, just because he's just really quick with everything. Like Hawkeye's getting ready to shoot him, and he's like, "I'm ready to go, Arrow guy, let's go!" And which that made me really, really want. I don't know if you're familiar with the Matt Fraction Hawkeye run, but there's a character in the Hawkeye run for Matt Fraction called Grills. They call him Grills because he has a grill on the roof of the apartment building that Hawkeye owns.
Of course.
So, and he's just Grills and Hawkeye are talking, and he keeps calling him Hawk Guy. And they have a who's on first sort of thing going, and Clint's just like, Hawkeye. Yeah, Hawk Guy. And you can't read it without like getting this really like thick New York accent in your head. You're like, yeah, we know who you are, Hawkeye. And it's a great who's on first because they clearly think they're saying the same thing. Like
Right.
Clint's pointing to his like I. He's like, yeah, you, Hawkeye, you. He's like, yeah, okay, so we're on the same page. You cut to Grills for one last panel. It's like Hawkeye. Like that's the only reason I want a solo Hawkeye movie is because I want that moment. I want a Grills moment at Hawkeye.
That's so dumb.
I'll have
it could be so
I'll have to
funny.
share that on the Facebook page because
because he's so funny.
it's great. So, speaking of Marvel and all this 10 years stuff, the Infinity War trailer dropped very not randomly because it was announced, but to me it was fairly random because I thought they were going to make us wait. I thought it was going to release at like 9 a.m. Pacific time. I thought it was going to be like during something going on in the evening, some sporting event. Nope, it came at like 8 a.m. Or at least that's as far as I'm aware when it dropped. It dropped on Good Morning America sometime Wednesday morning, and I was so excited I kind of hyperventilated a little bit in my car. I was at a stoplight and it was taking forever, so I pulled up Twitter really quick, and that was one of the first things that popped up. I was like, and I was like, I'm driving, I can't watch this right now.
Well, I think it was Marvel doing us a solid, letting us know that, hey, we understand that you're at work right now, but we need to brighten your day. And you might as well watch it like 16 times. So, because it did become the most watched trailer ever in the first 24 hours, like something like 270 million times I've seen.
Yeah.
The one before that was It, which had like 230 in the first day.
Which before that was The Last Jedi, which before that was The Force Awakens. So, I mean...
Yeah, no, I'm just saying that 270 is a lot of people.
Yeah, or just a lot of people like going back and just be like, I need it.
Oh, yeah,
and
no, I watched it at least 3 or 4 times. Wait, that was at work. Maybe 5, and then twice at home. Or so there's 7.
Yeah. So I'm probably in the same boat. I probably watched it maybe close to 10 times on Wednesday. Just mostly before we start like dissecting this thing, the fact that they brought back the Alan Silvestri theme.
Yes. That
is what sold me. Like that's what got me hyped. That's what like I was like my hands were just moving. I was like, this is amazing. The Alan Silvestri theme from the first Avengers movie is fantastic.
Yeah.
There's in my opinion, it's stupid. There's a really stupid YouTube video out there talking about how the Marvel music is very forgettable. And I'm like, clearly they never watched Captain America, the first Avenger, or the first Avengers movie, because those themes by Alan Silvestri are amazing.
Yeah, I've seen that same video, and I do agree mostly that you can't really hum a theme for like, you know, you can hum the Batman theme, you can hum Superman, Star Wars, the Harry Potter thing. You can't really nail one with
But how many superhero movies have come and gone?
Well, yeah,
because I mean, can you hum anything from Man of Steel? Can you hum anything from the X-Men movies?
Nope.
Can you hum anything from the Blade movies? Can you hum anything from the Green Lantern movie? Can you hum anything from...
I can Spider-Man.
Gee, I wonder why.
Because it's amazing. It's a great theme.
The Sam Raimi Spider-Man ones, I remember the theme from those only because Danny Elfman was kind of like ripping himself off because it sounded very similar to the Batman theme.
Yeah, and then in the third one, the Danny Elfman didn't come back, and the new guy, he added those weird horns to it because it's like it's supposed to be darker, so randomly in there. I'm like, I mean, I do kind of agree that.
But there's not a lot of movies though have forgettable scores.
Well, yeah,
not everyone is John Williams and can create that great theme. No. Which a musical score episode is coming. That's something that we're going to discuss.
Well, what I'm saying is that I kind of agree that I don't, when I think of like when I go to music scores to listen to stuff or relax or something like that, I don't immediately go to any of the Avengers ones. I can listen to the original Batman movie. Well, not the original. And there's good music throughout it. Lord of the Rings movies, amazing music throughout it. I've actually been playing this video game called Horizon Zero Dawn. Mm-hmm. The music for that is amazing. The intro music as you're loading up settles me into this world I'm going to have. And in the Marvel movies, they don't have a lot of that. But then you realize that's right. They have an amazing team song, which is that Avengers music.
No, that's Captain America. What am I thinking of? Ba ba ba
Yeah.
ba ba
Yeah.
ba ba ba.
Which is weird because like Iron Man, his is that weird kind of prog rocky kind of one that what they play throughout the first movie.
Yeah,
so
but
much.
it's super generic. Like it's just you're like, yeah, it's metal.
But you know it's his.
Yeah.
And Captain America does have one, but the Hulk really doesn't have one. I can't think if Thor has one. I know the Thor Ragnarok actually had good music because I actually noticed it occasionally.
Yeah.
Well, yes, they pulled off a lot of 70s classic rock, which was fantastic.
Guardians 2 actually had a decent score. I
Yes.
remember it gets overwhelmed because of the jokes. Like the moment where Aisha, the gold lady, is coming up to Yondu on the Hookerbot planet.
Oh, yeah.
The music in that is actually very beautiful, and that's the point.
Yes.
And then you get the stupid joke of like, oh no, my red carpet is snagged, and then it just ruins the whole thing. But again, that's the point. Is like you're supposed to get this like very regal and like gorgeous swelling, and then all of a sudden you get the joke. I think that joke could have easily been cut. And there's a lot of jokes in Guardians 2 that could have been cut. But getting back to the trailer, bringing back that theme kills it. I think that's part of the reason why it kills it in a good way.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's a big part of the reason why it now currently has the record for the most viewed trailer of all time, as far as within the first 24 hours. Because you hear the little keynotes from it in the very beginning, from the piano, the dun dun, and I'm like, oh my god, really? And then they bring it back once in a slightly different tempo, but I'm like, oh my god! And then at the end, when you get the big Avengers A and the Infinity War, you just get that big, like when Hulk punches the giant Leviathan, like when that theme hits for the first time, you're just like, yes! It's the same thing. And that's my favorite part. I listen to that theme probably once a week on my phone, and just bringing it back for that trailer, and that makes me really hopeful that Alan Silvestri is coming back to score the movie. I really hope he is. If they don't, I hope they at least bring back the theme.
Yeah, I was. Danny Elfman was talking about how part of the reason why you don't like when every time they review a superhero franchise, they dump all the music is because the studio doesn't believe that people will pay attention to it, and it's like no. There's a reason why we're on 40-something years of the Superman thing. We know that theme. There's a reason why the Batman the Animated Series beat it in our head, that the Batman theme, because it's a fantastic theme, and which is why I heard that he actually plays the Batman theme. And
he plays hints of it. There's a very specific spot where I noticed it just before he meets Commissioner Gordon on the rooftop of GCPD. He's standing on a gargoyle, and you just hear that little bit of the Batman theme right there.
Nice.
Which I appreciate because it was very subtle, but it was also, I think, a little bit of cheating because they're really trying to get you to just be like the Batman theme. They wanted to get those endorphins going and just make you think the movie's better than it actually was.
Well, he also said that he included the Superman theme in there.
Yeah, I didn't catch that. I think it was a little drowned out because I was listening for it when they brought Superman back. I was listening for it when Superman showed up, and I didn't notice it. So I maybe it's just been too long since I've heard the theme, but I didn't catch the Superman theme.
But like the Harry Potter, I know John Williams didn't return. I think for the 6th or 7th movies, I think he was just, or maybe it was just the 7th. But they had to keep Hedwig's theme in there. I mean, they had to. So
yeah, Infinity War. Getting to the meat and potatoes of the trailer.
Yes.
They give us a lot, but they also give us nothing. Because obviously we see Thumbos, as I'm calling him, because he just looks like a giant thumb. Thanos.
I've heard that he's also either Bruce Willis or he's Rick from Pawn Stars.
Oh, Jesus. I see a little bit more Bruce Willis.
Well, no, here's a great one because there's a meme that's it shows Loki handing over the Tesseract, and he's like, in return for this, please spare me and the rest of the Asgardians. And then it shows the Rick from Pawn Stars with a purple face, and he's like, best I can do is $500.
That's awesome. Yeah, there's a lot of people actually thinking Loki's gonna die because Thanos has no real use for him. Yeah. I think it's gonna be a pretty drastic shift for Thor coming from Ragnarok to this. Because, I mean, he's going to see... It's pretty much spoiled that in the Thor Ragnarok credits, we see Thanos' ship. And I think that's where we're going to pick up in Infinity War, is we're going to see Thanos invading Thor's Asgardian ship. I think Thor is going to break away the ships and save as many Asgardians as possible, and I think that's how Hulk gets back to Earth, as well as that he somehow gets sucked out. And he's just, coincidentally just happens to get sent towards Earth.
Of course.
Thor is going to be floating through space. For those of you who haven't seen the D23 or Comic-Con trailer, though, spoiler alert, so if you don't like this, skip forward about 15 seconds. The trailer opens with Thor floating through space, and he crashes into the Guardian's windshield. Again, completely coincidentally. So that's kind of how I think Thor is going to break away their ship, and they're going to get to Earth somehow. And that's how Hulk gets there, and Thor ends up just floating through space. And but the way the trailer ends is you have a very like broken down Thor, just like, who are you guys? And then you see the Guardians, and Mantis gives him a cute little wave.
Yeah, I like Mantis.
Mantis is cute.
Yes. And then apparently they're confirming that it's going to be about 2 or 3 years after Guardians 2, because you have a
teenage years.
Yeah, you have teenage Groot. Yeah.
Yeah, because Guardians 2 takes place like 6 months after the events of the first one, so it technically still takes place in like 2014.
Yep.
Marvel's getting really loose with their timelines. So there's a bunch of little things. I think the final Infinity Stone is going to be in Wakanda, just because I don't see any other reason why it's going to be there, unless somehow the last Infinity Stone, which I believe is supposed to be the Soul Stone,
it sounds right,
winds up on Earth, and they're protecting it in Wakanda. But either way, it's the final battle of the movie has got to be taking place in Wakanda.
Yeah, it looks to be. I mean, you have a bunch of Wakandan warriors, so...
Yeah, and Captain America is wearing some Black Panther gauntlets and stuff.
Yeah, though the trailer itself doesn't give a whole lot, but it does set up that there's supposed to be some serious-ass stakes. It does confirm something I've been hoping for, which is that Vision and Scarlet Witch actually get together. It seems to be because Vision's really human-looking, which I'm assuming... Well, because the trailer shows Vision basically twice. Once...
As Paul Bettany.
Yeah, once is basically Paul Bettany with a glowing forehead. And Scarlet Witch getting out of this regal-looking bed and slinking over to him to, like, what's wrong? And then on the ground with, like, looks like the Infinity Stone being ripped out of his head.
Yeah, and that's being done, I believe, by Corvus Glaive, which we only get a very quick glimpse of Proxima Midnight, which it looks like she's having some kind of fight with Captain America, because there's a shot of her throwing her spear, and then a shadowy figure, like, reaching over and grabbing the spear that has been thrown.
Yeah.
And it's pretty obviously Captain America, which I think Chris Evans... I love the concept of the Captain America suit, which I guess they're technically calling him Nomad, which is a nice nod to when Steve Rogers in the comics gave up the mantle of Captain America. But he got rid of the star in the middle of his chest, and it's a really browned out suit because he obviously hasn't had time to wash it or get it dry cleaned or whatever Tony does to have him cleaned. So you don't really get as much of the red, white, and blue.
Right.
And he's got the beard. He's got the shaggy hair. I think it's a great look.
He and Bucky have been apparently hanging out and taking fashion tips from each other. Beard, shaggy hair, dirty outfit.
Bucky just has the stubble. He doesn't do the beard.
But no, I like that because actually one of my favorite parts of with Civil War was the little flirty interactions between Scarlet Witch and Vision. Even though she kind of realizes towards the end that half of the flirting is, well, I got to keep you around the house, kind of thing. And I actually did really buy that moment in the battle of the airport where, was it War Machine? Not War Machine. The Iron Patriot did the sonic blast at her. And
War Machine. He's not Iron Patriot. He's only Iron Patriot in Iron Man 3.
Okay, so War Machine does the sonic blast and disrupts her and like kind of half knocks her out, and Vision all flies down and like is cradling her, and he's conflicted and not paying attention, which is why he decides to turn in.
He doesn't properly aim, and Falcon does a somersault or a barrel roll and ends up hitting War Machine. I like that they are embracing kind of the weirdness of their relationship, because the Vision obviously wants to become more human and wants to learn about humanity, and what better way to learn about humanity than being in a relationship. And Wanda has no real connection to anyone outside of her brother, so obviously she's going to connect to someone who wants to relate to her.
Yeah, and who matches her on at least a power level, if that's what intellectually, and that they can help each other.
And they have a common bond with the mind gem that is powering Vision, because whatever it is gave her powers as well.
Yeah, no, I like that part of the trailer, and there's a nice little touch that apparently they're supposed to be together, and then the rest of it's just badassery.
Yeah, you get a lot of Hulkbuster action.
Yes.
You see the Hulk. You see Captain America leading a charge with Adora Milaje, and you've got War Machine and Falcon flying in with Hulk behind them. You get...
I like that brief moment of Spider-Man with his spider sense tingling. I like that little...
Yeah, where the hairs lift up off his arm.
Yeah, they haven't really done that normally. Like in the
usually they just do some weird close-up and like panoramic around his head.
Yeah, everything slows down and it's like something fuzzy. But this is like a bodily reaction. He's like, what the heck? And then there's that giant Stargate in the sky.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, it's a Stargate.
Well, we don't know what it does yet.
It's Stargates. I did like the casualness of just having Doctor Strange and his assistant. Wong, thank you. I like them being around so much. That was just kind of cool. You know, it's just like, it's right, because I know Marvel had Doctor Strange, and I really think they probably had Doctor Strange 2 somewhere in the schedule if it hadn't gotten filled up. I'm assuming they're going to have one.
Yeah, they will. We'll see what happens.
But I just like that he's floating around. You know, he had a little bit in Thor Ragnarok. He's definitely going to be in Infinity Wars, even if they're just running around with glowing discs a lot of the time.
Yeah, and it looks like the reason they're going to find Doctor Strange is because somehow Banner is going to fly into his Sanctum Sanctorum, into the staircase, and Tony's going to see it, or somehow Tony's going to get there, and they're going to, oh, Bruce, you're here, cool.
Yeah. Still not sure what. Yeah, there's some weirdness with Tony. Does it to you look like that Tony's planet jumping?
He's either planet jumping or he is like being held prisoner somewhere.
Yeah,
because he's outside of a few shots. I think he's like very oddly absent.
Yeah, there's that one shot towards the beginning where I can't tell if they just stole that from the visions of Civil War, where like he's
Age of Ultron.
Age of Ultron, thank you.
No, because that's it's like a black and purple kind of environment.
And everyone's dead, right?
Yeah, except for Cap. Cap like has a jump scare moment where he's like, "You could have saved us."
Yeah. But it looks like he's on some planet or something, and then he's back on Earth, and then he's gone for some reason. Oh, well, no, he gets punched out by Thanos.
Yeah, that was
awesome.
Yeah, that's a really cool moment. I mean, if nothing else, Avengers and Avengers Infinity War, Tony has nothing to do with the villain as far as like creating the villain. There's so many villains in the MCU that Tony has created, and that's kind of annoying at this point.
Yeah.
But I think the planet with the orange backdrop that we're seeing, I think that is going to end up being Xandar, the home of the Nova Corps that we saw in Guardians of the Galaxy 1. I think that's where obviously Thanos has to get that one, because we see that he has the purple and the blue gem.
You're right.
The purple gem is the one that's on Xandar. The blue gem is the one that Loki gives him in the trailer. And then everything else we don't know. But I think that orange planet is going to be Xandar, because I think Thanos is just going to just destroy the shit out of that planet. It's going to become his new like concentration camp or something.
Yeah. The only really concern that I have from the trailer, I mean, I really dig that Thanos looks more like Josh Brolin now, because there's at least a little facial recognition, a little structuring they can do. I really did like Thanos' just kind of casual, like, you know, one doesn't think about fun when balancing the universe, but I'm going to enjoy this or something.
This does put a smile on my face.
There you go. Yeah. The only thing I don't particularly like is I'm not sure it's going to work for a faceless horde of Wakandans and a faceless horde of
Outriders.
Outriders, yeah. Because I was thinking about it. It was on the way over, and the only time the faceless horde has really worked for me is Lord of the Rings. And it's not because it's a faceless horde. It's because we've spent time with some of the orcs, so we know they're all different looking. We know they'll have different power levels. You have the Orokai, you have the regular orcs, you have the smaller goblin type ones with the weird hooked nose. You have the Battle of Helm's Deep, where that one takes 50 shots to the chest, but you're like, oh yeah, it's an Orokai. It can take 60 shots to the chest before it blows up. I'm just really hoping that there's some we learn a little something about what these Outriders are, and they provide, like, we can tell, like, okay, yeah, that one should be fighting Black Widow, and she'll have a little bit of struggle. This one, Captain America has to fight because it's a little bit bigger, and that one that's an elephant has to be the Hulk's.
From my understanding of the Outriders in the comics, which they play a fairly large role in the Infinity War, or not the Infinity War, the Infinity event that happened a couple of years ago. They're genetically lab grown armies that people can buy. I don't think Thanos would really buy them. He probably went to the lab and just got them. But I was really hoping that, because Thanos is supposed to be so indestructible and so unbeatable, that it would literally just be Thanos versus the Avengers, and he would have his Black Order of Proxima Midnight, Corvus Glaive, and Kol Obsidian is what they're calling the new guy. I forget. He had a really racially insensitive name.
Of course.
So they renamed him to Kol Obsidian, but I forget what his actual comic book name is. That I'm sure will now be retconned.
Just based off what you're saying, I'm not so sure I would want to know that original name. But yeah.
Yeah, I'm blanking on it, but I was really hoping that it would literally just be those four.
Yeah.
And maybe Loki. But I was really hoping it would just be those four versus the Avengers. Just get rid of the Faceless Army. He's Thanos, and he has 3 minions at his disposal. And you have the personal attachment of Gamora coming after Thanos, which, again, I think there's 2 ways this movie ends. One is the Guardians show up and we're here, bitch, and then roll credits.
Right.
Or 2, you have
awesome.
Captain Marvel show up and everyone's gonna be like, who the fuck is that? And then you have the movie and everyone's gonna be like, where the hell has she been?
Yeah. I don't like the idea of Loki being a bad guy again. I'm assuming what happens is whatever happens to attack the ship, and Loki appears to be stepping over Asgardians.
Yeah, he's basically just going to bargain. He's like, look what I have for you. Please just leave us alone.
Hey, yeah, you're looking for this. Could you leave us alone and take this? But of course, Loki being Loki, it's probably something along the lines of, hey, I'll give you this. I'd like my staff back and a ship and a part of the galaxy. Which, I'm hoping it's not like that. I'm hoping that if they do Loki's the bad guy thing, that they give him some serious motivation and non-redeeming moment. That it's like, it's time for you to go.
I think they're just going to kill him off, and then maybe they'll do the young Loki thing like they have in the comics. But yeah, I don't care much for the Faceless Army thing. The Outriders look pretty cool.
Oh yeah, no, they look weird.
In the comics, they look kind of like orca whales with 4 arms, but I
can kind of see that.
In the movie, they look a little more scaly or dried out, so they look a little more.
They do look 6 army, yeah.
They have the 4 arms. I've seen a couple of screenshots and slow motions of the 4 arms. But they don't look as smooth.
Right.
I think part of the reason why I associate them with orca whales is because they're black and white and they're very smooth. Where in this, they look a little more rough. They look a little more battered.
Yeah, no, other than that, there's nothing in that trailer that doesn't excite me. I, of course, am trying to build in my head how the heck the whole thing goes, but there's no way we can really
assume what's going on.
Yeah,
Spider-Man is also very absent throughout the trailer as well, because you have the moment where the Iron Spider suit,
which looks amazing,
and you have that moment where I think he's getting into the suit, because there's a shot where he stands up and the eyes light up. So I think that's gonna be the first time he gets to put on the suit. But you have the shot of him and his spider sense, his arm hair raising. Then you have a couple of shots of him in the Iron Spider suit, and then he's gone.
I think you. There's that brief shot where he's in this Iron Spider suit, and Thanos body slams him, which I think is.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Which that's a pretty cool shot. Because Thanos caught Spider-Man, and that's kind of hard to do. He, with all his backflipping and web spinning, and apparently has 1,002 different webs.
Well, that's in his training wheels protocol suit. That's not his Iron Spider suit.
Yeah, So I mean, there's a lot of gaps there. Like, why is Iron Man and Scarlet Witch and Vision not running across the field? Because you can see War Machine flying back there somewhere with the Wakanda. So then all that stuff that maybe on Earth or maybe on Xandar, none of the Guardians seem to be there.
I think the Guardians are showing up like towards the end of the movie. I think Thor and the Guardians are going to be like a separate plot that will. One of the things I don't think they're doing in this movie is I don't think they're wrapping up this story in this movie.
No.
Just because, one, we know that this was originally supposed to be 2 parts, and I don't think they're condensing that 2-part story into one, like, 2.5-hour movie.
I hope not. I'm really... Because they said it was supposed to be part 1 and 2. I'm assuming that the title is a bit misleading, that it was supposed to be Infinity War 1 and 2, now it's in just Infinity War. So I'm assuming it's Infinity War and then, like...
Secret War or something.
Avengers, Shadow of Infinity War.
Yeah, I think we're going to go from Infinity War to Secret War because obviously there has to be something that happens. One of the things I did want to talk about is the internet is a place I shouldn't go because they just want people to die, and I don't understand why. I understand that people dying creates stakes,
right?
And that works really well in movies like Serenity, where I really like Watch. Shit, he's dead. I really like Shepard. Oh, he's dead. Like all of a sudden, like all these main characters are dying off, and you're like, oh my god, who else might die off? But with these Marvel movies, they've created really good movies that still have decent stakes without killing anyone off. I mean, you've killed off Quicksilver. Who cares?
Yeah.
Besides Wanda.
Well, I did. I liked him.
He was fine, but he didn't really get that moment that they had in Days of Future Past, was it? Yeah.
Yeah, but then they tried to recreate that moment in...
yeah, that was bad. Apocalypse was just bad in general.
Well, Apocalypse, and it didn't work twice. I did like how what they did with him. That, they showed it super fast when he was moving all the people out of the way of the bus or something like that. That was cool.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's completely breaking the continuity that they established, because he's not holding anyone by the head. Yeah. And he's also not super strong, so he shouldn't be able to just, like, chuck people out the window.
Right. Wait. I'm talking about the
Marvel universe?
The Marvel one, where like that bus is like careening and he's like
Aaron Taylor Johnson.
Yeah, and he's jumping back and forth, just moving everybody out of the way or something like that. No, I liked him, and I thought it was really funny.
He was fine.
Oh yeah, I thought it was funny. Everybody was all suiting up, and he's like grabbing sneakers.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I don't need.
I don't like. Because Chris Evans' contract is running out, they're like, oh, Captain America has to die. No, he doesn't. He could literally just, like, maybe they use the time stone and they drop him back in 1940s and he gets to have a life with Peggy. Or, maybe... I think if they are going to kill anyone off, I think it has to be Robert Downey Jr. because he's the oldest of all of them. And he can't keep doing these Iron Man movies. Or just tying in and being an Iron Man.
Well, here's the thing. This is the thing that's going to piss me off if they do it this way. So, I mean, we've had a bunch of Marvel movies. The only person who's actually stayed dead is Quicksilver. I mean, because Loki's died like
and then
twice now. Well, yeah. Loki's died like twice now.
He was presumed dead at the end of Thor 1, and then he was presumed dead at the end of Thor 2.
Yeah. And then Coulson died, but not really. Well, he died in the movie universe. Because according to Joss Whedon, he is dead in the movie universe. The TV universe is separate, but
even though they don't want you to think that,
yeah, I don't need death unless it actually has a meaning behind it. Because if like half of them die in Infinity War, and then at the end of Secret War, Avengers 4, whatever they're gonna call it, they use the time gem to bring everybody back, that's just going to piss me off. I mean, yeah, it's going to be nice because in the movie theater, I'm going to be like, this is so beautiful. They're all back alive. But then 5 minutes later, I'm going to be like, that sucked.
I think...
You just cheated. And everybody's contract's renewed.
I think what could happen, I just thought of this, which I'm sure I'm not the only person that's thinking about it, is maybe Thanos does kind of succeed and the reality of the Marvel Cinematic Universe is destroyed. Ooh. And what they do with the Secret Wars is what they kind of do with what they did in the most recent Secret War, where they basically reset the universe, but it's slightly different. So what happened in the most recent Secret War arc is Dr. Doom was actually holding together this very small planet together with the help of some villain, I forget his name. But they basically, when they reformed the reality, little bits of the other universes made their way into the main universe, which is how like Miles Morales jumped from the Ultimate Spider-Man universe into the main continuity universe.
Interesting.
So I think what's going to happen is they're going to rebuild reality somehow. Doctor Strange or someone's going to rebuild reality, and things are just going to be slightly different. So we're going to come back with a younger Iron Man. We're going to come back and maybe Captain America is slightly different. We're going to come back and just there's going to be just little differences, and all these characters are still going to be around, but they'll be recast because they're going to be slightly younger or slightly different, or they're going to be from a different universe.
Slightly cheaper.
For now.
Yeah, because what was Kevin Feige said, or whatever pronounce the name, he said that Feige. He said is like after Avengers 4, the movies are going to get small again. I'm like, okay, I'm good with that.
Because they have to rebuild and build towards a new event.
Right.
Where I was thinking about this the other day too, where Age of Ultron is very average.
Yeah.
But it's also, I realized, a launching point building towards Infinity War. So this road that we've been on since Age of Ultron, which has had Civil War, Ant-Man, and all these 10 movies building up to Avengers 4, Age of Ultron may, in retrospect, become a really good movie because of what it builds towards.
That could be true.
I don't think it's going to be true, but really. Just because you want these movies to stand on their own while also building towards something, where Age of Ultron doesn't really stand on its own because Ultron is a very boring villain. Yeah.
Well, it's
which is super unfortunate because in the comics, like when Ultron shows up, Tony freaks out because he's like, I don't know how we're going to do it this time, because he's the futurist. He's a guy who can like look into the future and be like, this is what we should do. Where when Ultron shows up, he's just like, shit, he's wetting his pants.
Yeah. Well, it's like Iron Man 2. Iron Man 2 sets up Avengers, but after watching Avengers, you don't go back and go back, yeah, Iron Man 2 was really good. And it's like Iron Man 2 is like, no, it's just a very long trailer with a mediocre story.
Yeah, it's Avengers 0.5.
Yeah. It doesn't take away anything from Avengers. It just diminishes itself.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I'm whatever the CinemaScape is like after Infinity War comes out, I'm not necessarily think that death is an important part of it, unless it's going to remain there. Unless it like makes sense, like Tony does some sacrifice and he's dead. Yeah. And, maybe, at the end of the movie, they bring him back and he's not slightly the same. But he's like, yeah. Remember at the end of Iron Man 3 where I was like, yeah, I'm done being Iron Man. No, dude, seriously. We're going to go away. Our contracts are over.
You can still reference me, but...
Yeah, you can. My suit is being given to somebody else. I'm in my late 50s now. I mean, I don't want to see somebody else playing Captain America. I really like the way Chris Evans.
Chris Evans is a fantastic Captain America. He plays it very straightforward, but also has a lot of heart with it.
Yeah, I like the Guardians. I'm really, really starting to like Thor. I mean, Chris Evans is Chris Hemsworth as Thor, because he seems to be able to do the tonal shifts and not lose the sight of the character. Like the first Thor, he was kind of the brat with the whole smashing glass, and the second Thor, he was just kind of like
he was cocky.
He was just a cocky.
And then he became concerned because of Jane.
Yeah, this one he was just having a hell of a time. And this next movie, for some reason, he looks battered and beat up when he meets the Guardians, and then he's in that weird kind of Atlas sphere thing pulling these massive levers.
I think that's where he's breaking apart the Asgardian ship from Thanos' ship, where he's like trying to save everyone, and that's where he gets sucked out into space and ends up on the Guardian ship.
Yeah, but that seems very God of War, the video games, because there's always these weird like contraptions that have been built by the gods to like hold things together, and that's what looks to me. It looks like it's one of those weird, bizarre contraptions that like you pull these 16 levers because you have ungodly strength. And something cool happens, and then the entire room shifts to the left.
I saw it as a parallel to the Captain America helicopter scene.
No, yeah, I can see that.
So that's what I took out of it, because the same directors who did Winter Soldier and Civil War are directing Infinity War and Avengers 4. And that's what I saw. I saw a parallel to that where, Captain America can, stop a helicopter from taking off, but Thor, he can separate a couple of spaceships.
Totally.
So, I mean...
6 months. Got 6 months.
6 months to wait. And it's only going to get worse because we're going to get more trailers that are going to reveal more things. And I'm going to try and stick with the Derek abstinence plan on this one. I'm going to watch like maybe one more trailer, and then I'm going to try and just go cold turkey and not see anything until the end of until I actually see the movie.
No, the hype train has left the station.
The hype train is real, but the hype train is only making 2 stops for me.
No, there's no stops on the hype train. The hype train continues, and you watch the billboards as they fly by, and they're going to be fantastic.
I was honestly really surprised that Disney released this trailer 2 weeks out from Star Wars releasing. I thought they were going to give Star Wars their moment, keep hyping up Black Panther, and then maybe at the Super Bowl they reveal the first trailer, and then with Black Panther they have it for the theatrical run. I'm not complaining.
Oh, in 2 weeks I'll be very happy to see this in front of Star Wars.
Yes.
And then in front of Black Panther, I'll be very excited to watch the Infinity War 2 trailer. Because that's the way this is going to go.
Well, I'm sure we'll get the Infinity War trailer in front of Star Wars as well. I don't think they would release it 2 weeks before Star Wars and not have it attached to Star Wars.
No, what I meant was I'll be happy to see it in theater. And then in front of Black Panther, the second version.
I gotcha.
Yeah, the second cut.
That will debut with the Super Bowl.
Exactly.
All right. Well, we did have a topic on hand, but we are already running a little long.
Yep.
So, Infinity War is the title of this episode.
Exactly.
That we were going to do essential holiday viewings. Yeah. Do you want to run through your list really quick? We'll
do it next week.
Okay. Well, no, next week we're talking The Force Awakens because we're getting ready for
okay.
The Last Jedi. So if you want to just run through your list really quick, we'll just give everyone a few extra minutes of us.
All right. So in my guide to essential holiday viewing, if you're going to watch something, it always gets overlooked because there's only like one good Thanksgiving movie. But if you're going to watch a Thanksgiving movie, it's got to be Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Yes.
Because that really is the only one that matters. Or there is this one terrible one, which I believe is called Thanksgiving, which is about an evil turkey.
I love that movie.
Have you seen the second one?
I did not know there was a sequel.
There is a sequel. If I remember correctly, it's about the evil turkey, and the actual box art. The only reason I watched it is because Liz brought it home, and she said I was scanning this in for a customer when she worked at the library for
the library carried Thanksgiving too.
Yes. And it said, the actual box art said, boobs in the first 6 seconds. And she's like, and then she flipped it over. She's like, what? And it's like, evil turkey, blah, 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 blah. And she's like, we have to watch this. But anyways, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Now, when you actually get to holiday viewing, you have to watch Die Hard. That's essential. Then you have to watch the Harry Potter movies because for some reason ABC Family or Freeform, whatever it is called now, has determined that the holiday season is the Harry Potter movies.
Because they all have snow in them at some point.
And it's really sad, but I can't help but watch them now and think like, oh, it's Christmas. Are they showing the Harry Potter movies on Freeform? Sweet. We have Charlie Brown Christmas. You have to watch that. Christmas Vacation and A Christmas Story.
I was trying to stay away from the usual suspects.
The usual suspects are what I love.
I've got a few honorable mentions. One is Gremlins, which you don't really consider a Christmas movie, but it does take place during Christmas.
Is it the first one or the second one?
The first one.
Okay, the first one scares me still.
Because Gizmo is a Christmas present because the dad wants to get him a... They already have a dog, but apparently they need a Mogwai too.
Everybody needs one.
Anything by Shane Black, because Shane Black movies almost always take place around Christmas.
Except for Iron Man 3.
Iron Man 3 takes place during Christmas.
I know, but I'm just saying, except for that movie, don't watch that one.
No, that's a good movie. You can shut up now. But you've got Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, like Lethal Weapon. Yeah. I think technically the Predator movie is not a Shane Black movie, even though he did write the original screenplay.
And he was in it.
Yeah. But my actual list... I also have a guilty pleasure movie called All About Christmas Eve. It is a Lifetime movie, and I actually enjoy it because it deals with alternate timelines where the Hilary Duff's older sister, Haley Duff, stars in this movie.
I've seen it.
She she's a party planner. She's supposed to go to San Francisco. One timeline is she makes it to San Francisco. The other timeline is she doesn't. And throughout the first like 2/3 of the movie, you think the San Francisco timeline is the magic timeline where she gets everything she ever wanted, and the timeline where she misses the flight is the bad timeline. And then it flips on you, and you're like, "Oh, what a poignant point!"
Yeah,
and I enjoy it. It's a guilty pleasure, but it's cute.
Is it a Lifetime movie? Or is it one of the Hallmark Christmas movies?
It's a Lifetime movie, as far as I'm aware. Lifetime Christmas is pretty much on in my house all time at this time of the year. My wife loves it, and they're cheesy enough that I get like guilty pleasures out of it.
I didn't realize. Okay, I'm gonna have to look because I know right now that our house is if we're not playing video games, it's on the Hallmark Christmas movies.
Yeah. So my actual essential viewings, I have A Muppet Christmas Carol.
Oh yeah, that's cute.
Yep. Elf.
No,
I'm not a Will Ferrell fan, and I love that movie.
I think I was too old. I know we're like the same age, but I think I was too old.
The Year Without a Santa Claus.
I don't remember that one.
That's the one with the heat miser and the cold miser. Santa Claus is sick, so Mrs. Claus
is
trying to get Santa a day off.
That's great.
And then the original Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer claymation. And then
Bumbles Bounce.
And then my wild card is the Ryan Reynolds, Amy Smart movie, Just Friends.
I have not seen that.
It's I don't want to say it's great, but I enjoy the hell out of that movie. It's got some really good physical comedy. It's got some really good jokes. I don't think I have it upstairs, so unfortunately I can't lend it to you.
That's right.
But I enjoy that movie. It takes place during Christmas. It's a cheesy, sappy ending, but it's a really fun comedy, so I enjoy it. But those are my essential holiday viewings, and now I have to go downstairs and try and find Just Friends so I can watch it. So, Alex, thanks again for being on the podcast.
You're welcome.
You got our essential holiday viewings. So if you feel like watching a holiday movie, feel free to pick out any of those 15 movies we just named. I named obviously a lot more.
Die Hard 2 is also during Christmas.
Because Shane Black was also involved with that one.
Exactly.
So again, thanks for sticking through my coughing, and thanks for listening to our ramblings. Hope you're excited about Avengers Infinity War. You can feel free to share your thoughts on the Avengers trailer, how many times you watched it, what you think's going to happen, who you think is going to die. You're dead to me if you think someone's going to die. You can find us on Facebook and YouTube, Talking Smack, SMAC. You can find us on Twitter at Talking Smack Pod. Email us, tsmackpod@gmail.com. You can follow me on Twitter, Josh_Scar. Alex doesn't socialize, so he's not on the socializing medias. And then one last cough for good measure. And Alex, any special theme music this week?
Yes, this is the Skrillex remake. Just so you know, I pushed hard for it to be on Eminem's Revival, but it's only going to be a bonus secret track after about 5 minutes after track 19.
I was hoping you get Alan Silvestri for this one.
I wish.
Would have been very on point. So with that, roll that theme music.